The start of the Spyverse has come to an end with the final episode of Amazon Prime's Citadel. The final episode, titled Secrets in the Night Need Early Rains, had yet more twists and secrets spilling into our screens. Yet it somewhat felt predictable. This similar yet slightly above average series concludes, opening up to a much wider Spyverse. Let's waste no time and dive straight in, and as always, spoilers ahead. The episode starts with a young boy dealing with the effects of a bombing as he watches those around him suffer. This gives us our first glimpse into Mason Kane as a child, before we are back with him parachuting onto a submarine. One thing I did notice here immediately, before we got our final twist, was the fact he had an English accent, which seemed off as the bombing was in Serbia, already starting to foreshadow the final scenes. Speaking about scenes, the parachuting scene just doesn't seem to have the same enjoyment compared to those previous action scenes. Something about it just doesn't sit right. Yes, a lot of the other scenes in the series are clearly over-exaggerated and highly fictional, but this one just seems even more fake. Is it the mix of CGI and real scene, or is it just the limited amount of acting involved? As Mason infiltrates the security system, placing himself as the only one allowed to gain access to the submarine, he says he's doing it to find Nadia, but this leads me to question if he had already started to distrust Citadel. We are then given almost the exact same scene, but with Kyle instead, showing us how unskilled he is compared to his former self, almost falling off the ship before being attacked by Davik. Things pick up as we get inside the submarine, with Nadia almost sacrificing her life to save the world, and Kyle almost getting his arse handed to him. Although we do get a lovely bit of action here, it's almost overshadowed with the ever cliche moment of the power is within you, as Carter tells him, even with no memories, he has Mason's skills.
Listen to me, you are still Mason Kane. Get up, now, fight back!
We then learn that Mason, love-struck to the max, actually found out about Nadia's baby, and that actually both of them kept secrets better than Coca-Cola. We then head over to Spain, where we see an intense face-off between Manticore and Citadel, which even has a child being thrown off a building. This, I felt, was more like putting a bow on a present, focusing more on the dialogue between the characters with minimal action happening other than a shoot-off. With Dahlia failing once more and seemingly the final time, she decides it's time to fake her own death in an attempt to throw Manticore off her tail, blowing up her mansion. There is no mention of Bernard at this point, so we are left to conclude he died in the blast. However, I don't think this is the last we'll be seeing of him. The final scene and the last shock of the show comes with Kyle getting his memory back and suddenly begins to remember that he is Mason Kane. Here we learn that Dahlia is in fact Mason Kane's mum and that he was the little boy, and finally revealing the identity of Thomas, that being Mason's father. I just want to point out here that me and Ben both called this in our Citacast. Besides us being geniuses, the series felt good at delivering the intrigue of the secrets, but lacked the result with a predictable final twist. We end with Mason in a two-way mirror, Nadia on one side, Abby on the other, which leads us to ask, did Abby or Celeste already have her memories back, and how will Nadia cope with this new love triangle? This scene gives us an almost powerful message of the two states in one being, with Mason and Kyle essentially becoming a new third person, with Nadia his past on one side and Abby his future on the other, and unlike the other scenes in the show where Mason had looked into cracked mirrors, this time the mirror is fully intact. Does this now mean Mason is a complete human, and will he be a powerhouse in the upcoming seasons? Throughout the series we've been pushed Dahlia as the big bad of the series. It's also shown us that she gives no remorse for her own family, willing to sacrifice her own grandchildren twice in order to secure these nuclear missiles. I think for season 2 we'll see Mason looking to catch her and find out what was planned, all while Manticore attempt to kill her. After the episode we get a brief glimpse of our first spin-off of the series. I think this series will be set before the downfall of Citadel, As we have seen, there were very few agents left when they were looking for Carter. The trailer is looking like it's being set on mainland Europe, with the occasional scene from London. I think it's highly likely this individual has ties to Dahlia or Manticore. It will be interesting to see, and will she pop up in Season 2 of Citadel? Overall, I think this has been an enjoyable series. It does feel more like a film split into several parts, rather than a fully fleshed out series though. On the whole, the CGI and action have been enough to keep me entertained. I do think the unanswered questions throughout the series are the best thing though. With all the information now seemingly out in the open, I do start to wonder how Season 2 will fare. Anyway guys, thank you for joining us. Check out some of our other stuff that we've worked on. Silo is still going, even though Citadel has ended. And as always, catch you next time with something new.